who wins the league. It's going to be an absolute enthralling title race. There's only 10 games to go, but we need to digest what's happened for the first 28 games and see what happens in the running. You've got Man City, you've got Arsenal, you've got Liverpool, a three-horse race, something we haven't seen since probably the 2014 season. But the question on everyone's mind is, who wins the league? Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Sani-That sports guy talking all things sport. And of course, today we're speaking football, we're speaking the Premier League, and we're speaking about that title race because we've got 10 games to go. The title run's going to come thick and fast, and we need to find out who is going to win the league. Joining me today are two very esteemed guests, or should I say friends, Manraj and Mr Singh, who will be helping me going through this title race. Manraj, because you are the resident Liverpool fan here. And just for added spice as well, you've got a Man City 4-peat on the line. You've got Liverpool winning their 20th league on the line. You've got Arsenal, a team who haven't won the league in 20 years, on the line. Who wins the league?
Manchester City, guys. Look, the experience, the know-how, they're already in 3 competitions, they've been there, done that. It's Man City for me, but I pray to God, Liverpool, these next 10 games, 10 wins, please, please, please.
That's what Manraj thinks, but Mr Singh, who do you have winning the Premier League?
It's difficult, man. It's difficult because you can make an argument for all of them. Something about Arsenal for me. I feel people are writing them off. You know, if you look at 6-8 weeks ago, nobody used to talk about them being in title race. People said their season was over. But I think the way they smashed teams this year, totally annihilated teams, ruthlessness. And I think the experience of last year and the heartbreak of what that brought. I mean, I actually think Arsenal will go to City and get a result. I think if they do that, that'll be a vindication of my thinking that I think they could win it. There's energy there with Arteta. I think there's a kind of underdog mentality they have, which I think will get them through to the finish line and win the Premier League this season.
And Raj, you said Manchester City, but do you think their assault for another treble, which could happen this season, could actually deter them from actually winning the league? Because that game at home to Arsenal is a massive game.
It's massive, but you've also got to look at who they're playing in the Champions League and Arsenal as well, and the potential where they could play each other in the semi-final, which I imagine Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp will be licking their hands about. For me, City just have the experience, they've got the squad, and with City, it's always the great timing they have, players coming into form. De Bruyne casually rested, as we say, for the international break. Erling Haaland has pulled out of Norway training. These little things, you know, Guardiola knows. He's been there, he's done that. This is a perfect position for him. He knows the squad's primed, Foden ready to take a starting role, Ruben Diaz coming into a little bit of form, Akanji showing how good he is and how flexible he is, and Rodri is Rodri. I think it's just really difficult to look past him, simply because of the runs that they do. 10 wins for them. It's everything.
There's one factor that's missing. How many seasons has Guardiola been in where there's been 2 of the teams chasing him? I think the pressure of 2 teams bear down you is a pressure that Guardiola isn't used to for a while. I mean, is there a season that 2 teams will bring down City's neck like they are? I think that pressure could tell.
But can Arsenal go on that run that City do every season?
Arsenal are the best defence in the league.
But do they have the bottle? Do they have the bottle?
Arsenal
Do they have the
44
bottle?
this year, 44 in game.
They've got the best goal difference, but do they have the bottle? That's what Manraj has alluded to.
But I think, yeah, look at the Brentford game. Typical game where bottlers Arsenal are the free away. They won it.
But that's another question as well that Manraj raised about the Champions League semi-final. They've got Bayern Munich in the Champions League. They've got a crazy run where they could be facing the likes of Spurs, Man United, Chelsea, City in the Champions League. That is a critical period. Do they have what it takes? You have to have unequivocal belief that they do. Do they?
I think the addition of Declan Rice is a game changer. Having Declan Rice in your team, what he brings as a player in terms of his character, he's a trophy winner at West Ham, his mentality, the leadership he brings, with Saliba being fit for the running. Though if Rice and Saliba were fit for the last 10 games last year, would they have bottled it? Answer the question. I don't think so.
I think it was fair to say Arsenal actually bottled it last season.
Yeah, do you think they bottled?
No, I didn't think they did, and I think it's a really harsh take. It was a young side. Arsenal far overachieved. They didn't expect to be there.
Yeah.
And for them, it was a mix of injuries and a little bit of pressure of, I think, the fans as well. I think the fans were expecting you've got to win the game, and especially those home games. You could see against Southampton, it was one of those things where there were 3-3, and the fans were like groaning and umming and ahhing. But they've learnt from that. But for me, it's managing both the Premier League and Champions League and how physically demanding that can be. Arteta's use of the squad, I don't think is the best. You know, we've not seen a lot of Smith Rowe, a lot of Nelson, a lot of Nketiah. Does he trust these guys? Can he fling them on with 10 minutes to go when they need a winner? That's where I have my doubts.
I think they'll sacrifice the Champions League if they win the title. They can't do both.
But if you're an Arsenal fan, I'm not saying you are, Mr Singh. What would you rather win, the Champions League or the Premier League?
But they have the Champions League because they won it before. Would they win a league next season or the season after?
You really do believe that?
Well, win the Champions League, the player power you get to buy players, the prestige, the finances involved. I think Champions League, if you want to be a great manager, you got to win the Champions League. And Arteta, you know, he's a young manager. take the Champions League on the CV, look what the future holds. So I think really, I'll take the Champions League, if I'm honest. What do you?
I think they're joint favourites for the Champions League.
Along with Man City.
Along with Man City. I think over 2 legs, especially for teams like Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, I think they're going to have a shock. Especially going to the Emirates, playing at that type of pace against Arsenal's quality. I think they're joint favourites for me for the Champions League.
You got a smile on your face, Mr. Singh. What are you thinking?
Listen, don't let PSG. Trust me, don't let PSG.
Why is that?
Mbappe himself will win the Champions League for them. You write of PSG more, yeah, because I'm telling you, this season is different. Nobody expects anything of them, but you watch it.
Get onto the Champions League in another segment, but we need to address something in the room. There's no elephant in this room, guys. You might be thinking, what the hell? But Liverpool. We haven't mentioned Liverpool. Do you think what happened on the weekend is the reason why Liverpool don't win the league? Why have you not really spoke about Liverpool, Manraj?
It's the injuries, and Liverpool have a lot of injuries, and people say it's documented. I don't think it's documented enough. On the weekend, you had your first choice goalie out, your first choice right back, your first choice centre back all not playing. That's half a defence. And I think as the season go on, especially the games, I know Jurgen Klopp will be dying to go to Dublin for that final, for that one last hurrah. That might have an effect, especially with the squad and a little bit of fatigue creeping in, because there's a lot of fatigue in that extra time. You could see players out their legs. But this Jurgen Klopp factor was to say that these Liverpool players don't turn it up a notch after this international break. And those injured players, if they come back like they're reported to, was to say they can't go on a run. Those experienced guys, the ones that can hit form at the right time, if they do. And Liverpool have statistically, I think, the easiest run in. There's a good case for Liverpool, but for me, I think it's the same old story. I think they'll just get pipped again.
Why did you not really mention Liverpool, Mr. Singh?
I think with Liverpool, less pressure for them, the better. I think they prefer that. See, I think this season is probably the best Premier League season in history because you got 3 teams that all have good reasons why they couldn't title with Liverpool, as Manraj said. It's a Klopp factor, and for me, he don't get about injury problems. I think they're the blessing in disguise. I'll tell you why. The League Cup final, the youngsters they brought an extra time and the difference they made. I was surprised that here we have a team that's got an academy that's working well. They've got half a team they brought on against Chelsea's 1 billion squad, and they smashed them to pieces. So there's a good positive hope for Liverpool that the academy can have a good future prospects. I think in terms of why I mentioned Liverpool,
because they could do it. Because Manraj raised a good point. Their running is very.
I personally think. I mean, Manraj can tell you that. I think there's some mental scars that quadruple that was missed could leave. When you've been so close and not got it.
Couple seasons ago.
And I think that, just to say that quadruple would have been the best achievement in football history if they did it, but they didn't do it. Are you asking for one thing too much? Going to the league, Europa League. Maybe win one or not the other. You got the Carabao Cup. Thing is, football's fine margins. You can't win everything in life, and I think. For me, Arsenal's vibrancy and the youth in their play and their spirit is something new that we haven't seen before, and I think that might give them the edge.
I do want to ask, obviously, you say Man City win the league. What does that do for Guardiola's legacy? Because that's 4 in a row, something never done in English football. Does that mean he's the greatest manager of all time in the Premier League?
It's hard to argue it, really, isn't it, with the trophy haul? But as always, Ian Wright alluded to it on Monday Night Football a couple of weeks ago. It'll always have the asterisks, the 115 charges, and it's a shame because Guardiola is a great. He's a great of the game. He's a messiah. And he's caused me so much pain as a Liverpool fan. But that was 115
Klopp's not far
charges.
behind, though. Klopp's not far behind.
No, of course, but Klopp's not part of the conversation because you said Arsenal were going to win the league. What does this league title do for Arsenal, and in particular, Mikel Arteta?
You know what? Mikel Arteta is my kind of player, man. Honest, when his career was based on honesty, integrity, responsibility. Not the best, most talented, but all the key skills of a moral footballer he had, right? And we both all know a few seasons ago, he was a write-off. And he's a lesson to Man United. How you can take a club from nowhere to somewhere, and he's only spent a few £100 million. Not that much money in the context of football these days. All the signings he's made on the whole have been on the money. So I think if he wins that title, I think maybe Guardiola's successor. He's in his 40s. He's got another 20 years in the game. Who knows what he could win?
Maybe a wildcard shout, but when Arteta retires, I think people will consider him up there with Guardiola.
Is a big claim, and that is some way to end this conversation because it's a big one. Who wins the Premier League? We'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Let us know in the comments who wins the Premier League and what it does for that manager's legacy. Please leave your comments in the comments below and make sure to smash a like if you haven't already done so, share with your friends and family, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe to Sani-That Sports Guy. But as always, until next time,